Hey everyone, we're back with the girl who sits, aka Gabby, and everybody but yourself.
Hey, my name is Gabriella Carbero. I'm a lawyer and I stream on Twitch also. I have a blog called The Girl Who Sits where I talk about disability. I have spinal muscular atrophy and yeah, I don't know what else. My law practice is meant for people with disabilities. Trying. So I live in Missouri, and I'm trying to help people in Missouri deal with whatever disability-related issues they're having because we are a very red state with very unsupportive government programs. So trying to fill that gap a little bit. Um, yeah, I love streaming. Yeah, that's about it. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So how did you get into law?
So it's a roundabout story. I went to film school originally, and I wanted to move to Hollywood and write for TV. And then I found out that I couldn't do that because Medicaid doesn't transfer to other states. So I got really mad. And then I started looking at policy. I was looking at like Medicaid law to see if there was a loophole. And I actually just genuinely started liking reading policy and looking at laws and stuff. And so that was how I ended up in law school. And then I just kept going until I graduated and passed the bar. And now I'm still going. So,
What was the transition like switching from film studies to law?
well, it was a big one. I took about 5 years between um, graduating from film school and going to law school. So during that time, I just sort of, you know, was unemployed, as a lot of people right out of college are. And then I kind of just ended up sort of falling into it. I really, really worked hard to try to go to law school, so I don't want to make it sound like I just stumbled into this career. It was a lot of hard work, but it was I feel like I'm kind of where I need to be, you know. I wanted
Yeah,
to tell stories and help people through hard times by telling good stories, and now I'm just actually helping people through hard times by actually helping them with their problems. So kind of a different approach, I guess, to the same sort of issue.
when you're not working, what do you do for fun?
Um, so to me, streaming is fun. I don't do it for a job. I just really like doing it. I started doing it. I think in like 2018, 2019 or so, if I remember correctly. Maybe it was during the pandemic, but I like doing that, and then I like watching movies. I still like doing like media analysis that I did in school. And then spend time with my fiance and our pets. We have a Shiba Inu, a hairless cat, a pit bull, and then a an Anatolian Shepherd who is
Holy cow!
humongous. So we have a lot of fur babies and one skin baby because of the hairless cat. So
Holy cow!
yeah, our house
That's a
is
lot of animals.
loud and
S-
busy all the time. Yeah.
So how did you meet your fiance?
We met on OkCupid. We've been together for 8 years, I think, eight and a half, gonna be 9. And yeah, we're very happy. He works in IT, and he it also has an amateur car racing team. So he goes around the U.S. To like races. So it's been fun. I don't know anything about cars. I could not care less, but I'm glad it makes him happy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what are like marriage laws for disabled, like
The
in
marriage
Missouri?
laws. I'm sorry. Can you repeat your
Yeah,
question
in
one more time?
Missouri, what are for
So
disabled people?
the marriage. You're asking about the marriage laws.
Yeah, yeah.
So in the U.S. in general, if you're on assistance and you like disability assistance and you get married, you either get immediately cut off from all of your assistance or you um, have to include your spouse's income in your estimation. So, what that means functionally for a lot of people is if you're living over the poverty line, or your spouse is over the poverty line, you don't get Medicaid or SSI or SSDI. So that's why we're not married. And I've actually been trying to do some activism on that topic. I wrote a uh, legal article back in school for our journal about the topic. Just kind of going over what the laws are like and how outdated they are because I don't have to tell you probably that they were written in a very different time when
Yes.
we were in institutions and not at home, and the thought of us getting married or having adult relationships was uh, not considered, I will say,
Yeah,
by people in
because
power.
me and Elle been together for like forever.
Mm-hmm.
I was like 9 and Val was 11,
You
and I'm
should tell the
40
story of how
now.
you met. You should tell the story of how you
We
met.
met at we met at the hospital, and Val like 3 hours late for her appointment. Doctors. And I was super shy. And
Mm-hmm.
Val, her nurse at the time, pulled her in a buggy to come talk to me. And I only said like 3 words the whole conversation. So in 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
we exchanged addresses and phone numbers, and finally, then I decided to call her. And she didn't tell you this part, but when I called her, her dad answered, and her
Oh.
dad didn't recognize the accent, and he
Mm-hmm.
hung up on me. He thought, yeah. So I called back like 7 times, and he kept hanging up on me. He thought I was a telemarketer, so he kept hanging up on me.
That's funny.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sure little nine or
Yes,
10 year old you just kept
so
calling right back.
her mom was like, "Oh my god!" And that's how it happened.
That's so fun.
Me and
So did you?
Vale, we've been together, forever, and
Mm-hmm.
we eventually had a wrestling wedding. We raised money at a local wrestling show, and we
Mm-hmm.
got married there. Obviously not legally,
Yeah.
but um, what are some of the changes you hope to make for other disabled people?
Um, you know, obviously the marriage penalty is on the list, but there are so many weird things I would like to unwind and undo. Probably more than what one person can do in a lifetime, but that just means I will always have work to do. Um, I The marriage penalty is on my list. I honestly though, like, just everything having to do with the whole disability system needs a major overhaul. I don't know how to fix it, but I would love for it to be fixed. And I would love to do anything I can to try to make that happen. Um, it's pretty, once you start reading the laws and you see like how things actually happened, um, back when the ADA was passed in 1990, there was a lot of talk about how to present it to President Bush in a way that he would actually sign it because they were afraid that if they explained the economic impact it might have on businesses to have to, make their businesses accessible and stuff, that he just wouldn't sign it. So they sort of had to frame it a certain way before they got him to sign it. And I think there are a lot of situations like that where we got things that we needed, but it was just by the skin of our teeth. Um, so I would love to do more of that, or even try to convince the people in power that we need other things. I would love to have it have like I'm pretty radical about it. I would love to have our income not even be considered um when doing disability considerations. I would like to, not have us have to worry about making a penny over the limit and losing our health care. That's my main concern because I use Medicaid. Um, the limit is 2K in my state right now. I see that question. But it is going up. They just passed a law like in July that they say raises the limit and also gets rid of the marriage penalty, but with an asterisk, which is doesn't actually get rid of it. It just raises the spousal limit to 50,000. So if your spouse makes it over 50,000, you're still kind of SOL. Um, and my fiance does. So it would be a little bit not helpful for me personally. And I would love to just not have to worry about that. It's like
Yeah, that's pretty
it
stupid.
shouldn't yeah, it shouldn't be like, oh thank you. I'm so glad that you raised the limit. Like, no, just don't have a limit. Just stop looking at his money. It doesn't have
Yeah,
anything to do with me and my healthcare.
exactly.
But, you know.
I just don't understand why it's okay to like punish us for wanting to work.
Mhm.
You have all these people who can work, but they'd
Mhm.
rather sit at home, to get money or pop out
Yeah.
babies to get free
Mhm.
government money. And we want to work, or we get punished for it.
Yeah. I think it's difficult to walk the tightrope of not demonizing other people that get welfare, but also reassure. Like, we don't, I think, at least me personally, I don't want to come across as saying, like, I'm not one of them, like, because I
Dude,
don't
I
really
totally do.
care. Well, but I
I
mean, like, I don't really care what other people are doing. I just want healthcare. I don't care about other people. Like, I just want to get married and to not have to worry about reporting every gift I have, every cash gift. I don't want to worry about that. Um, I don't want to worry about, not seeming disabled enough to need help when I clearly am. Um, I don't know. I just want everybody to have what they need.
don't know. See, I'm complete opposite.
Really?
Want to change, not
Mm-hmm.
just for myself. See, I really don't like. This is gonna sound horrible, but like, other cripples
Mm-hmm.
annoy the hell out of me because they're so soft and
Uh-huh.
they're perfectly, content we're sitting in this stupid little bubble where the world seems so perfect, and they don't realize that it needs to be changed, but
Mhm.
not just for us.
Mhm.
It needs to change to make those that can do
Yeah.
things do things. I think I don't think it can change for us until
Mhm.
everything as a whole is changed. Because
Yeah.
there's so many ways people get around this.
Mhm.
It's crazy. But at the same time, there's always loopholes, no
Mhm.
matter how you patch it up. But I
Yeah.
get what you're saying. I
I don't think
understand it.
I don't I don't think we're opposite ends of the spectrum because I understand. Like I think just in my life experience, I've known a lot of disabled people who think everything is fine the way it is and don't want to make changes. Or who don't have the energy to fight for any changes, or who don't feel like they need them or want them. And I think I do get frustrated with that kind of mentality. Um, Partially because I think the problems are so much. I'm not to get politically radical, but I think the problems are so much bigger than us, like you're saying, that
Yeah,
I
I
don't
agree with
know that.
that.
What?
I agree with that.
Yeah, like I don't think there's really a way to easily fix things. I do think it is valid to get overwhelmed and say like it's fine because you don't want to bother with doing a lot of the hard work, because I do think disabilities, what the way that society treats disabled people can make us very tired, you know.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
especially like,
exhausting.
I'm sure it was the same for you, but, just going through high school was
Mhm.
ridiculous,
Yep.
and like you said, it's extremely tiring to just
Mhm.
have to fight and fight and fight, just to get simple things done,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and you have to justify and justify and justify it, and that
Yeah,
I think having to justify my humanity to other people who are looking to cut my rights down, um, that's when I get exhausted. Like having to say, yeah, I do deserve to get married, or like, you know what, I do deserve to make money and to be able to keep it and to be able to have health care because you do. That's what everybody does. For me, it's the opposite. For me, if I work too much, I lose it. Why is it that way for me and not for you? Like it's hard to go there with people all the time.
it's like Val just said, I was rich, that's
Hmm.
one thing, but
Yeah.
I'm not, it's very unlikely that by doing it, I'm gonna become the next big star. I'm not looking to be a millionaire. I'm just looking to make, enough money for me and Zale, and, 'cause, I mean,
Hmm.
that's what we do, right? So why should we be punished, for doing that? What
Yeah.
would be the first thing you think that needs to change for other things to change?
Unironically, dismantling capitalism, but that's that's not like a first step type of answer. Um, I think honestly, if we could have some of the less important, this is my opinion personally. If we could have some of the less important rights, like the marriage right, like the asset limit, getting rid of that, um, I think it would become more obvious that those rules are stupid. Um, what I would love is if the so it's not the quick version is the way that the marriage penalty works is Social Security has oh my gosh, what's it called? Spousal, it's not spousal, but it's like household spousal consideration, I think it is. But anyway, it's the thing that makes them question what your spouse makes. And I was talking to a Social Security employee one time, and I asked, or I mentioned, I was in law school, and I mentioned writing my paper, and she said, if you ask anybody who works for Social Security, they would say that they want to get rid of the spousal income requirements, reporting requirements, because it's just so messy and it's so pointless because nobody is going to be able to use their income to pay for all of your medical needs if you have complex medical needs. Nobody's going to be able to pay for my stuff. I have a ton of medical
Yeah,
equipment and I need a ton of help during the day. You would not be able to pay for that out of pocket, even if you made, 55,000, like
right,
over the limit. It doesn't. It. It's just there's such a large discrepancy between what people hear when they say, "Oh, your spouse should be paying for your health care if you're disabled," and "Oh, you mean your care costs $110,000 a year and private insurance doesn't pay for any of that?" Oh, that's different than what I was told it was. Like, I wish that part would happen. I would like more awareness of the topic and um, more honest conversation without rhetoric of like, oh, these people are just, they're not supposed to be able to work because then they're not disabled. When it's like, no,
yeah. I hate that.
it's so
It, it,
complicated.
it- it's I don't know. It's just I hate being viewed like that.
Yeah.
It's just stereotypes, and it's really horrible. You know. So what, like, how did you find way onto Twitch?
I friend who from high school who streamed on Twitch, and I decided to do it as first it was going to be like me showing how I do video games like with my disability. So it was going to be more of an educational thing. And that honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it just got boring. Um, so I just started playing games, and people seemed to like my personality, so I stuck with it. And I'm not at affiliate yet, but hopefully I will be soon. But even if I never make it there, I still have a lot of fun doing it. So I'm here for the long haul, I guess. Um, so playing video games with friends. But it was going to be a part of my blog as like a well, it still is a part of my blog. I think I have a link to my Twitch page on my blog, but it was like supposed to be like a side project that would funnel into like the education part of my blog. But like I said, it just sort of ended up not being that way.
Um, yeah, for us, I got onto Twitch when I bought a PS4. I just saw the app and I had no idea what it was. And then I tried it, and like 8 years later, here I am. But
Yeah.
yeah, now not so much. Now's good where she's at, as
Mm-hmm.
far as affiliate. Yeah,
Yeah.
I went for it.
Yeah.
That's always my dream.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like, for me, I guess, it's like I gotta prove it.
Mm-hmm.
because my family does not support this.
Mm-hmm.
My family gives, except for my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother's okay with it. And the rest of my family, thinks I'm just like, playing games, wasting time. They don't understand that this is a job. Like when I turn the camera on, I might be playing games. They don't stop there. We play games, social media, make highlights. I mean, I spend as much time doing stuff, off the camera as I do on camera. It's literally a job, but I
Yeah.
think, I don't know, when I did this, when I first started doing this, like everybody else, I wanted to get rich, be famous, like everybody else. And now I'm just like, I enjoy what I do. I never really thought this would be my career. I enjoy it. My first career choice was a computer programmer. And after I took the entrance exams at the college here, the school was a old, really old building. And they had really tiny elevators. And I couldn't see the elevators. And the two classes were on the second floor. So instead of moving the classes down a level, the school actually just removed the whole curriculum.
Oh,
Yeah, so
that's like the worst. That's like the worst way to solve an accessibility
no, right?
problem. It's like, oh, you can't access it. Well, then I guess no one can.
Yeah,
It's
like
like, no.
it's just so stupid, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Uh,
Sorry, I was
and
muted for a second. I had to quiet down my household.
no problem.
It's very loud. I saw that the Ellis name I see you asked a question. Um, taxes are different. It doesn't matter how you file taxes when you have a spouse. If you have a spouse, it counts. It's the biggest like bullshit thing, but
It
it
really
does not.
is.
It truly does not matter how you get around it. They even have a uh, they even have a thing in the requirements that if you are holding out as married, so if you're pretending to be married but you're not legally married, they can still consider you married. So, um, they so if they wanted to be dicks, which they don't do very often because, like I said, the Social Security people hate that. It is for common law spouses. But if they wanted to be dicks, they could say that anybody who has a wedding that doesn't result in a marriage license, but if you call each other husband and wife, if you wear rings, if you have photos, all that stuff, they're allowed to look at your mail to see who it's addressed to see if you guys have the same last name. And they're allowed to ask your neighbors if they think that you are married. And if they
That's
say yes,
crazy.
then you're holding out as married. Yeah, it's it's just a bit. That's one thing I think should just be completely eliminated because there's
That's
no
none of their
way to.
business.
We're not in. We're not living in the era where that mattered. Like it was written back in a time when you had to pretend to be married to have a domestic relationship, or you had to be married to have a domestic relationship. Now we don't do it. We have roommates, you know. And so now it's like when you have a roommate, sometimes if you have a not very nice social security person, um, they will make you fill out information on your roommate and have them sign an affidavit that says they are not contributing any money for your survival, that you're splitting bills evenly and everything. So, sorry, I just wanted to answer that for you too,
Fine.
because yeah, and marriage is all state laws, uh, the Ellis. So it doesn't matter what if you're in a common law state or a not common law state. It doesn't matter if you're. It's just stupid.
It's very stupid.
It's really
I
stupid.
it, I don't understand why it's legal to ask other people about your relationship. And it's so messy.
Yeah, it's because the U.S. has gone out of its way to stress that healthcare is not a right; it's a privilege. And so you don't have to give up any information, but then they don't have to provide you with Medicaid or they don't have to provide you with Social Security.
That's
Which
crazy.
it's still, yeah, like it doesn't, functionally, we have a marriage penalty. Functionally, we are not allowed to get married because we need our benefits.
Right.
So even though it's not technically, because I can still get married, I won't be stopped at the courthouse or at the church or whatever,
Right.
but I'll lose my ability to live. So it's not really a fair thing.
No,
I
no,
would
no.
love I would love for us to stop having to make choices between our life and our happiness. Just a
That's
small
true.
thing to ask,
That's-
but yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. But we were talking about Twitch. Sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
derail.
no, it's fine. It's fine.
But yeah, I want you to be partners too. How far are you?
No, not very close.
Oh,
I think the viewer average is 75, and I
mm,
hang around 10.
mm.
But maybe one day, I'm
It's a
very
good thing to
stubborn,
aim for.
so I don't give up very easy.
But man, you're right about how it's like a lot to do social media, and because I was gonna do influencing if I failed the bar, I was just gonna like just do social media and do sponsorships and stuff and do Twitch, and it is so much work.
It
It's
really
an
is.
unbelievable amount of work. So,
Vienna has a question for you.
oh yeah, do y'all get the so cute you pretend to be married thing we get a lot? No, because people don't think we're together. People think that he's like my aide. So,
That's funny.
because he's not disabled, so people always just think he's my
That's
helper.
funny.
So, yeah. Oh, you're afraid
Yeah,
of his little friends? I'm sure if he was disabled, that's what would happen. When we were first together, um, we went through a weird phase when we first started dating, where apparently people thought we were really cute together, and so whenever we went out, this sounds so strange, and I'm not like bragging. Whenever we went out to a restaurant, somebody in the restaurant would pay for our meal. It happened for like a straight month when we were first together. And
that's
it was like,
crazy.
yeah, it was like weird. Like it was like, again, who is somebody following us? Like what happened? And then it
That's
stopped and never
crazy.
happened again. So, but
That's
that's fine.
crazy. Free
It was a very
money.
nice month. It was very
Yes,
cheap to go out.
that's ours.
Yeah. But yeah,
So, like, what is healthcare like in Missouri? That is
it's really
horrible
bad.
here.
It's really bad here. What state are you in?
I'm in Louisiana.
Okay.
The house in
So,
Mississippi.
okay. So it's probably a similar mentality as Louisiana and Mississippi and Missouri. Just as an example, we passed Medicaid expansion through a ballot measure, so we all voted it in, and they said no because the ballot measure didn't have didn't specifically state what department of the government had to pay for it. So every department of the government said no. So we passed Medicaid expansion. By law, it was on the books, and every single part of the government said no.
That's crazy.
So that's what it's like in Missouri. If it like gives you
That,
an idea of how awful it is. That and our reproductive care is getting real bad, and our we just Missouri just banned trans health care if you're on Medicaid, um, and trans affirming therapy for people under 18. So nothing.
what's
No.
it like when you try to find staff to help work for you?
St. Louis, so it's a bigger city. Um, it is very rough though, especially because whenever they pass a raising of the minimum wage or a raising of like the budget for wages for healthcare workers, they specifically exclude home health. So even though minimum wage is like 12 something I think now in Missouri, I'll have to check on that. But even though it's like 12 something, home healthcare workers are excluded from that. So the last aide I had was paid like $9 an hour, which is below the minimum wage. So there's a lot of stuff like that that happens here too. Um, the nursing home lobby got so this is like a really convoluted story, but our governor, Eric Greitens, he was, and that, by the way, I'm spilling all the tea about my state. I don't even care because I know stuff. I know people high up. But Eric Greitens, he was our governor, and he resigned in scandal. So Mike Parson became the governor. He was the vice governor guy, um, the second in command. Is it vice governor? Is that the thing? Is that what it's called? I don't know. But
I'm not sure.
whatever, that dude, the second in command, he became governor. And right when he became governor, the nursing home lobby met with him immediately before the lobby for the home and community based services did. And so the nursing home lobby got to him and sold him on the idea that nursing homes are cheaper and better for people with disabilities, which violates a federal law, but okay. Um, and so for the last few times that there has been a raise or some kind of benefit, a budget related benefit for home and community based services, which is who pays for home health. He has done a line item veto, which means no matter what else is in the bill, he approves everything else, but he specifically crosses out that part of the bill. So he looks for it and crosses it out. Like he does not want home health to be a thing. He wants all of us to go into nursing homes. So
Wow, that's
yeah,
messed up.
it is really messed up. It's not fun here. It's not a good
That's not fun
place.
either. Right now,
Yeah.
2 years ago, I got a new wheelchair,
Mhm.
and I've been in a wheelchair, my whole life
Mhm.
since I was 3 years old, and I've never had, pressure sores. Because my grandmother, always took pretty good care
Mhm.
of me, so I never had pressure sores. For this new wheelchair, they didn't measure me correctly,
Mhm.
so when they brought it, it was already too small. So they had to
Mhm.
make adjustments.
Mhm.
And then they didn't want to buy the type of seat that I've always used. Because I would always use a J cushion,
Mhm.
which is a gel. So instead, they want to give me a what's it called? Memory foam.
Uh-huh.
and the under the under my seat were
Mhm.
these metal bars, and the
Mm.
metal bars actually pushed through the seat and my leg
That
open.
that makes sense because memory foam would
Yes,
only be helpful if you didn't sit in it all day long.
right.
Like,
So the bar pushed through the cushion
uh-huh.
and caused a sore.
Mhm.
And the nursing agency didn't want to buy bandages and stuff for
Mhm.
that. So we went and get my doctor recommended a, it's like a home health type deal, but
Mhm.
not in home nursing. And,
Yeah.
they were doing everything. But a nursing agency was filing paperwork wrong. They were filing it as having a nurse, which two different things.
Mhm.
So we had to stop the other, the wound care and my nursing agency were providing the wound care and the supplies. Well, they got tired of doing the supplies. So instead of doing paperwork correctly
Mhm.
or finding somebody who could do that, they took my services away. So they took my nurses, completely.
Mm.
So obviously, we fought it
Mhm.
and we went to court and the judge we got, this is how crazy it is. The judge we got said that she believed it was in her jurisdiction. So she ruled out of the case, but also ruled that she didn't understand why I needed services to begin with. So she ruled it death to remove my services. So yeah,
So she didn't understand it, but she understood it enough
yeah,
to take it from you.
yeah. So the nursing agency, they took me to court and they wanted me to pay for their lawyer fees and the court fees. And that was like, I want to say almost 30,000. And I can afford that. So we were like, they took me to court and the judge that was in charge of that was totally confused as to how the previous judge had made that ruling.
Mhm.
So he threw hers out
Oh, good.
and ordered an investigation into the judge, but I still have, my services back.
Mhm.
So now I'm trying to find DSW or whatever they're called now.
Oh,
Which,
they're called
yeah,
something different in every state. Do you mean
yeah,
like
it's every Monday.
social work? Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
but it's hard because they only pay nine
Mhm.
dollars an hour
Mhm.
and no overtime. So it's ridiculous.
Home
Trying to
health
find help.
agencies. Home health agencies. They pocket so much money too.
It's true. It's true. Because
Ridiculous.
my lawyer was trying to get me to start direct support,
Mhm.
whatever it's called.
Mhm.
And, uh, and I would have to do the paperwork and all like an agency would. But she was mentioning that if I did it that way, I could pay the workers up to 16.50 an hour,
Mhm.
which makes no sense.
Yeah.
If I could pay them like the agencies, because they're pocketing almost half that
Mm-hmm.
amount. It's ridiculous.
I remember back when I had private insurance and Medicaid. Um, we got the explanation of benefits every month where it would say exactly what private insurance paid for. And they would pay for like 3 nursing days a year or something.
Yeah,
But just for those 3 nursing days, I would see what they were sending to the agency every month. It was like over $100 an hour.
yeah,
And my nurse was being told at the time she could not get more than 16.
yeah.
That
That's
they would not be
crazy.
that they would not be able to afford it, that they would literally go bankrupt and have to close their doors and not be an agency anymore if they
Yeah,
paid more than 16. That's
that's
disgusting. Gross.
it. Really is
And that's one
because
thing that's one thing that I really want to do as a lawyer is like I think over the years I've noticed that like in a lot of disability policy and disability support
golly,
policy, um, there's this idea that a lot of money goes into it. And at first you say, no, there's like no money. I don't get any money. Who gets money? But I think there's so many hands out on the way down to us that there is a lot of money being exchanged, but it's being exchanged at our cost. Like we're the ones who are supposed to benefit from that being the pay rate, but we're not
you can
because
flip
the
it.
agencies are the middleman and they're accepting the pay instead of our workers getting the pay. So because of that, nobody nobody is able really to work for that cheap, and then it becomes a problem that we have to deal with as the
No, I'm doing
consumer.
an interview.
And
I'm doing an interview.
it's such a
Interview.
frustrating like situation to be a part of because I wish so many people around us didn't have their hand out because I think it justifies the whole idea that disability is really expensive and disability is very overpriced, and no, the government gives so much money to us and all that bullshit, frankly.
Yeah. So this is a bit more a
Mm-hmm.
personal question.
Okay.
It's kind of creepy, so
Okay, well, good.
you know, let you know.
Don't
But
worry,
like,
I have to come back if it is creepy.
damn, no, but
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, so I guess the situation is a bit different
Mm-hmm.
for you and me
Mm-hmm.
because your husband is, not disabled.
Fiance, yeah.
What would be, sorry, fiance?
Okay. I don't want to be told I'm holding out as married, so I'm paranoid about it.
What's that?
I have to correct everything. What? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Or what would be? I mean, I assume he helps care for you, but
Mm-hmm.
there's no help.
Yeah.
So like, if something was to happen, with your parents, I
Mm-hmm.
guess you would have that as a backup plan. It's like if who would care for you? Because for me and Vale, as it stands, for us right now, if
Mm-hmm.
something happened, with her parents or grandparents,
Mm-hmm.
we would have to go in a nursing
Yeah.
home
Yeah.
because we would have no help. Our families aren't exactly the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
We're obviously not rich, and we
Mm-hmm.
have staff. Her situation is almost worse than what mine is in a way, but medically, they're also disabled,
Mm-hmm.
but they can do more physically for herself than I can, but she still needs help.
Mm-hmm.
So if something was to happen, to either one of us, we would have to go to a nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
And as for our relationship, I don't know how. It's a whole void
Mm-hmm.
of what the fuck. Stop YouTube,
Yeah.
but,
Oh, sorry, I've been cussing this whole
me
time.
too, don't worry.
Okay,
They'll just mute me.
good.
It's perfectly fine.
Um,
But,
yeah.
luckily, because of Twitch, we've made very good people that I know would be, there for me.
Mm-hmm.
If I got to, ask for help.
Yeah.
Like War Pig, son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Flipper, Pharaoh, not, and I'm not saying, to care for me or
Mm-hmm.
anything, but if I need help, getting help,
In an emergency,
yeah,
yeah.
we have amazing friends that we can
Yeah.
count on. Me and Zell are like, I'm sure I got it wrong, but like 17 years. We played Final Fantasy 11 together.
Mm-hmm.
It's an online game.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the people that, we know there have literally become, like family to us.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like 90% of those people we have never met, but we know them long enough and who they are
Yeah.
and what, they know about us. That it's literally, we have literally made, like a
Mm-hmm.
family for ourselves. So I mean, I guess in a sense, we have something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's still a scary thought to know what would happen, in
Yeah.
those days. Especially right now, because my grandma just had, a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
My mom is shit.
Mm-hmm.
She needs help. My dad is non-existent,
Yeah.
and the rest of my family is, the same. So,
Mm-hmm.
but people don't see that. They just see like you obviously have help because you're in a wheelchair, bro.
You
It
need
ain't that
it.
easy.
You need it, so you obviously have it, right?
Yeah, that's exactly their
Yeah.
thoughts. You know,
Yeah. I think a lot of those questions do not have satisfying answers, at least right now, with the state of the US being the way it is. Um,
I think back to earlier.
mm-hmm.
If I could change, anything about that, it'd be to
Mm-hmm.
just have peace of mind.
Yeah.
Because it's stressful.
Yeah. It's a very scary way to live, but we don't have a choice,
Right.
you know. I I think for I have the same concern or similar concerns to Anvil because I my parents are getting older. My dad is not able to do any of my care. My mom is, but she's getting older. Um, I live with my fiance, so he's able to do most of, the stuff. But there have been times like last year he got COVID, and so no support workers were coming to the house because they didn't want to get COVID.
Right.
So I had to be cared for by him while he had COVID, and that was terrifying because it was. I mean, he, that's just really scary. I didn't know what was going to happen to him. People were still dying all the time from it, and so I didn't want to be trapped in the house with a corpse. Frankly, um, not to be morbid about it, but that was a thought that went through my head a few times during that experience. And I wish we didn't have to have those thoughts and didn't have to make choices like that. But I do think it's important that, to the best of everyone's ability, that they have an emergency plan in place for when something happens. But for a lot of us, the emergency plan is like, figure it out, because that's my emergency plan. If anything happens on, play it by ear, figure that out when they get there.
You gotta
But
wing it.
mm-hmm. And as disabled people, I think we're really good at that because we've had to be. But I think I would like if more disability policies did not have an expectation that there was always family available to take on the care of you if you don't have anybody else. Because at least in Missouri, the way my waiver, I'm on a medically fragile adult waiver, and the way it's written, I only qualify for it, first of all, if the alternative to receiving the waiver is a nursing home. So if I'm better and I wouldn't go to a nursing home without it, I don't get it at all. Um, and then the other requirement is I have to have backup. So I have to have somebody else. If somebody calls off, this person has to be documented and listed with the state and with my home health agency as being the person who delivers care if the agency falls through for whatever reason. And that is hard, Like, I'm very
It's
lucky I
very
met
hard.
Juan. I'm very lucky I met Juan. I'm very lucky that he is able to care for me if I need it. But that might not always be true.
Yep.
And I also think it should be said that that dependence keeps a lot of disabled people in abusive relationships. We're not in that position. He and I get
That's
along
true.
great. But if we didn't, I don't know what I would do. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't really be able to do anything, unfortunately. So I just gotta be really nice to him, I guess, in the hopes that he doesn't abuse me. As bad as that sounds, but no, I'm kind of kidding, but kind of not, because that is something that we have to think about that other people don't. You know,
It's very true.
so it's
Dale had a
pretty.
question.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that. Let me go up. What are your thoughts on step-up plans for income or education plans for disabled? Um, what do you call a step-up plan? What are those? They might be by a different name in Missouri. I'm not sure what that is. Are they like a spend down? Like Missouri has what's called a spend down, where if you make a certain amount, you can pay for Medicaid. For like a
No, we
discount.
don't
Is that
have
what that
that.
is?
We
You
don't
don't
get
have
that.
that. It's
Not
very
here,
not.
no.
It's very not well known in Missouri. Social workers don't tell you about it, but it is there for people. So wonder why they don't tell you about it, huh? But that
So,
I'm sorry.
sorry, no, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that there's a law, a federal law, that uh it's called Olmstead, and it says that people with disabilities need to be offered state sponsored care in the least restrictive environment. So that means if you can offer care in the home, you cannot force them into a nursing home. Meaning Medicaid is not allowed to only pay for nursing homes. They have to also pay for home health if you need it, but functionally it's not. It
Yeah.
it doesn't work that way. Every state is supposed to have an Olmstead plan, and we in Missouri wrote one in like 2001, and it never got finalized, and then it went away.
That's
So you can't
crazy.
find it anywhere. Yeah, and
Wow.
that's federal. That went to the Supreme Court.
Wow.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg is the one who wrote the opinion. Like, it was it went all the way up to federal level, and Missouri is just like, eh,
That's
we'll
crazy.
pass. Yeah. I'm
So,
sorry, what were you gonna say?
okay, so if I don't ask you this, your buddy Jay won't ever forgive me. So you have to tell us your story about how they stole your identity. Mm-mm.
So, I went to.
Oh wait, there's no
So,
sorry.
oh yeah, yeah, okay. Well, ideally, I'd love to be able to work my way up income wise as long as it goes to education to eventually work my way ASAP. Oh, oh, oh. Do you mean like able accounts? Is that kind of because you can have right now they have a federal program um where you can have an able account, and so as you make money you can put it into that account and other people can contribute to that account and you can take it out for disability related expenses and it doesn't count against you. So that might be what you're talking about. I'd love to be able to work your way up income wise. Yeah, so that an able account would work for you because um you would be able to use that money, and they made the definition for disability related expenses as broad as possible. So housing expenses or disability related expenses if you have any sort of accessible housing, um, uh, transportation expenses are counted if you have a car that you can put your wheelchair in, um, utilities, like pretty much every expense you can do within reason. You can do through an able account, but it still doesn't take away from your income level. So if you're making money and it's going into your account and you're putting it into the able account, then it it would still be considered as a source of income, but not as an asset. So it's like a savings account that doesn't count against you with your social security. So you should look it up. I think every state has it. I'm pretty sure. Um, but you might have a program through another state. Because like for a while, Missouri was using Ohio's able account system. So that's what I did.
It's
So
interesting.
yeah, very useful. See, stuff like that. I was not told by a social worker or anybody in a supportive role.
Yeah,
I
we
was
never
told
heard of that.
about it. I was told about it by other disabled people,
That's crazy.
and it should be like we should know about this stuff.
We
So,
really should. Like, it's kind of important.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so the story about my identity being stolen. Um, God. So when I was younger, I went to MDA camp. There was a person at MDA camp. Oh, hold on, I was literally offered a waiver to make money for 8 months of one cousin's income. So that might be ticket to work. That's what that sounds like. And honestly, so I'm not allowed to give legal advice to anybody. If you want to message me privately, I can give you resources though. And that goes for anybody listening. I'm not allowed to like tell you what to do, especially if you live out of state, but I can I can offer you resources that might help explain things better. But I it's an actual criminal charge in Missouri if you're a lawyer and you give it's called unauthorized practice of law. It's a whole thing that they scare the shit out of you about in law school where you cannot give advice that you don't know. So, okay. So this person, there was a woman who was a camp counselor at MTA camp when I was there. And she wasn't my counselor, but she was the counselor of somebody else. And she was there for a couple of years. She was kind of weird, but I didn't like I don't know. Everybody's sort of weird, so I didn't like judge her as like a oh my gosh I saw it from the beginning. Anyway, years down the road, um, somebody from camp sends me a Dr. Phil video on YouTube, and it was of this counselor. And apparently, after she volunteered at camp for years, she pretended to have muscular dystrophy. Um, Fake names, fake information, fake diagnosis, everything. Fake proof, fake photos, all of it. And so it was one of those weird stories that you hear about people in your life where you're kind of like, oh, I knew them. That's really weird. Ugh. Okay, like it's a story you tell at parties. You don't like think it has anything to do with you. Well, that was probably when did that Dr. Phil episode air? I'm gonna look it up right now. Um, she hold on. I'm googling her name. Dr. Phil. I don't want to give her name out, but if you look her up, you'll be able to find her. It was in Illinois. Oh, so it was only in 2020. Okay, but she was on Dr. Phil. All that happened this last year. I tried to join a group that could help people with SMA, which is my disability, who are having insurance issues that could help solve those. And so I joined it, and you had to like do the thing on Facebook where you get permission, you have to answer questions and everything before they let you in. Well, I was let in after like a day, and the person in charge messaged me, who I've become pretty good friends with now. Um, she messaged me and she said, I'm going to be honest with you. I had to creep all over your Facebook profile before I let you in because I um, saw your name and my blood ran cold because uh, somebody used your name to pretend to have SMA
That's
and
crazy.
to pretend to have a daughter with SMA. Sorry, I misremembered the lore. Um, but she basically said she was engaged to somebody with the last name Garbero, which is my last name, and she had a daughter named Gabriella, so the baby would have been named Gabriella Garbero with
That's
SMA
crazy.
who died as an infant, and so she wanted somebody to make a quilt for her, and she took the quilt and everything, and then it was a whole thing. She scammed this group. But anyway, so she ended up going to federal prison for like 11 months because she had scammed so many different people by saying she had SMA, by saying she had a different type of muscular dystrophy, by saying she had cancer, bunch of shit that was just wild. And so
Holy cow.
it is so weird to me to think that I was in such close proximity to her that she learned how to be disabled from me and my friends at MDA camp.
That's
So,
crazy.
yeah. And she was a nurse in Illinois, if you want to look her up. Um, like I said, I don't want to give out her name. I don't want anybody to blast her because she's paid her dues. So I'm not gonna send a mob after her or anything. But it was a wild discovery on my end because I didn't ever think it would really affect me. I just thought it was a weird story I knew about somebody when the Dr. Phil thing happened. But then to find out that she stole my name, and not only that, but they asked for a picture of her daughter who died, and she used a picture of my best friend from camp,
Oh
a
my
baby
god.
picture of her. Yeah,
What?
yeah, because
That's crazy.
she was the MDA Goodwill ambassador, so there were a ton of pictures of her online from when she was really really young, and so she used a picture of her and said it was me. Said it was
Wow.
Gabriela Garbero.
That's
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah. So, uh, it was a wild situation. I got interviewed. by a documentarian about it. I kind of doubt I'll be in a documentary about it just because I wasn't directly impacted the way other people were. I She used my name, but she didn't actively say she was me when defrauding people. So I didn't know. I have a really prolific online presence, and I never ran into anybody else who told me that. So
That's crazy.
I don't know. Yeah. So that's the story that JJ Dax always has me tell people because it's such a wild tale from beginning to end.
That's insane.
Yeah. But you said it's not the first person you've heard of that's done that at MGA camp. It's completely crazy. Well, see, I knew that there were like devotees at camps. You know, for anybody who doesn't know what devotees are, they're people with like disability fetishes. Like, I knew that was a thing that happened
Yeah, we learned that.
sometimes. What?
We've learned
Yeah.
about the fetishes
Which, like,
when we
that,
started streaming.
I feel like I would have expected that, but this was just so out of left field. I don't know.
This is-
I don't know. I don't even know what to like think of it, honestly. Yeah. I don't feel victimized or anything by it. It's just another chapter to the crazy story about this girl that I knew one time. So
That's insane.
it was a Dr. Phil episode. It was a podcast called Sympathy Pains. And I met with the woman who did the podcast. And I also met a woman who was, see, like, the reason why I say I don't feel like a victim really in this is because this woman, she was a friend of hers and she thought she had cancer. She thought that so this person pretended to have SMA and then also get cancer on top of that.
Holy
And
cow.
so when she just had SMA, she went to a camp for adults with disabilities, and this person was her camp counselor. And so this person was doing 100% of her physical care, was wiping her ass when she pooped, and using tampons on her when she had her period,
Wow.
and was doing full physical care, and she didn't need it. She just wanted it. So,
Wow.
so I feel bad for people like her. Like, she and I have talked a lot about it, and she said it really, for a minute, affected like her ability to be compassionate to other people because it was taken advantage of so horribly by this person. But eventually, she made her way back to being the awesome person that she is now. So I'm happy for her on that. But I don't know if I can get past it ever.
That's
Yeah.
one time I was on stream. On the worst stream. And it doesn't matter anyway. I was live and this guy came into our chat and he asked me if he could come visit and sit in my wheelchair. Like, oh, for real, like, he's like, I'll pay you. Like, no, I'm good, bro. Uh,
You want to hear? I'll
I'm
pay you
like,
if you let me.
like, oh, bro, people are so weird.
Yeah. I remember when I learned about devotees, I was in college. Um, as most of us were when we learned about devotees. But definitely recontextualized a lot of what I went through when I was younger with creeps being very, very interested in my disability and not having the vocabulary to explain to a child why. But, you know,
What's your favorite interaction you had
I thought,
with the
okay,
creepers?
I thought you were going to say what was my favorite devotee. I was like, none? None of them, dude? What do you mean? No, but I favorite interaction with a creep. That's really hard. That's what she said. Um, I had one that was sort of self-aware about it one time. I don't. This prank isn't even the best one, but I was at the movie theater with a friend, with a few friends in high school, and somebody prayed over me. I feel like this has happened to all of us. Have you had people pray over you, like put their hands on
So
your head and pray?
much.
Yeah.
So
So
much.
he did that, and he was polite in that he said to me, "Hey, do you mind if I say a prayer really quick?" And he was like, he had like this comically thick New York accent. So, hey, hey, girl, do you mind if I say a prayer for you really quick? Like he had a really thick accent, and I was like, I don't know. He was like, it'll be really fast. Don't worry about it. And I was like, okay. And so he did it, and I was so caught off guard. I said, okay. And then uh, afterwards, he was like, "Thank you so much," and he shook my hand, and I was like, "You're welcome." And he goes, "I hope you get better." And then he walked away, and he turned around and goes, "And you know what? I hope we meet again." And then he walked away and left, and I was with a huge group of friends, so it was like, I don't, I don't hope we meet again, man. I'm sorry, that's just so
Wow.
weird.
What the hell?
Yeah. What
Holy
about you?
cow.
What's your weirdest? Was it the
My
wheelchair guy?
weirdest, no, my weirdest would be when I was in high school. I was in high
Mm-hmm.
school and we would go to PE class. Well,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I ain't running track or wrestling, So the PE teacher had a group of kids that were just cripples,
Mm-hmm.
some mentally, some physically, and
Mm-hmm.
she was teaching them how to play golf or, play bowling.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved bowling, but I hated the stupid ramp thing that they would put the ball on
Uh-huh.
to
Oh
roll to
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
pins.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I would just,
Yeah, yeah.
I would just take my leg rest off,
Mm-hmm.
put the ball on my lap, and go really
And grab it.
fast.
Yeah.
I'd do really fast and push the ball off. And, I did that, God, for years. And last year, we were at a little, like, Chuck E. Cheese type
Mm-hmm.
place, but it was a local one. And we went bowling. So a guy was there to help, load the pin
Mm-hmm.
and give me the ball. And he would give me the ball and place it in my lap. And he'd
Mm-hmm.
just be really weird. Like
Mm-hmm.
he would stare at me and just stare at me. And, I kept one. And I hit the ball off. And I hit my foot. But it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
that major.
Mm-hmm.
I did it all the time. And he grabbed my foot. I said, "Oh, you okay?" I yeah, dude, I'm fine, don't worry. So a little while later, I'm still playing bowl, rolling the bowl. And he comes back around and brings out this a bucket of ice. And he's like, "This is for your foot." I'm like, "My foot?" He's like, "Yeah, well, you injured yourself." Hey, dude, I'm not injured. I touched my foot. And he took my sock off and he grabbed my foot. And man, he has such nice toes.
Oh,
Like, he's like, "If you don't mind, can I draw your feet?" Like,
oh,
wait.
You're
Like,
like, yeah, I
bro,
mind. Ugh.
no. He's like, come on. I have $50. I'll give you right now. I'm like, homie, bro, you're not drawing my feet. He's like, dude, you have no place to be. I'm like, bro, I'm not going that place. I just rolled away. I was like, holy hell.
Oh
You
my
know,
god.
yeah.
That's so creepy too. Oh,
Yeah, so
because
I was
it's
like,
like a foot. It's like a foot fetish and a devotee like in
I
one
know, right?
box. Oh
It's like a 2-in-1.
God,
I'm like, ah.
man.
And on top of that, I have a thing I just don't like people touching my feet,
Yeah,
and I hate doing. It just made it even worse. I'm like,
yeah.
bro, that's so creepy.
Mhm. I uh, I did. This is such a weird story to tell right now, but um, I when I was in college and I started online dating, that was when I met more devotees, and I had one um who I talked to who was like really attractive. He was a catfish, but I didn't know that at the time because I was 18 and stupid. But he was talking to people, and he said he was disabled too. Pretty sure that was not true in the end. But he was saying, like, oh, so what do you have on your tray right now? And I was like, what do I have on my tray? He's like, yeah, like, I want to know what you're doing. And I was like, I have a notebook and a pen and my phone, and I don't know. Like, I don't even remember what I had. And he goes, do me a favor. Do you trust me? And I was like, I guess. And he was like, drop the pen. And I go, okay. And so I dropped it stupidly. And he goes, now reach for it. And I was like, I can't. It's on the floor. I was like, no, but I want you to reach for it. And I was like, okay, I'm reaching for it right now. Like, I didn't move, but I was like, okay, I'm reaching for it right now. I can't reach it. And he's like, yeah, are you reaching for it? And he was taking care of himself on the other end of the phone.
Wow.
And I was like, I have to go. And so I hung up. And afterwards, I was like, that was not okay, dude. And he was like, oh, what do you mean? And I was like, I know what you were doing. And he was like, I wasn't. And I was like, bro, I could hear it.
Oh
I could hear the
my
slash
god,
slash.
me and
Yeah.
my friend were playing, I think Call of Duty.
Mhm.
It was some random guys. And this one time, you know the sound effects that you hear when like you donate to people?
Mhm.
Or this dude we were playing with was on like a Pornhub or something. And you can hear him just donating
What?
while he's playing. Like, holy cow. Just mute your mic. Just stop, bro. It's gross. I
That
actually
was.
have on my this is a true story. You can actually see it. I was playing Rocket League one day.
Uh huh.
Me, myself. I was in party chat with one of our friends.
Mhm.
I think with Warbeard. And I'm just playing, he's doing his own thing. I had to do it on my team, but on PlayStation, if you're in a party chat, the only people who can hear you are the people in
Mhm.
your party. So the people that are in the game, you can't hear them and they can't
Mhm.
hear you. Well, for whatever reason, on today, I could hear him, but
Mhm.
he couldn't hear me. So he's on the phone with a guy friend, and he's talking about when his girlfriend's at work, how he gets bored and masturbates in the shower. And he's
Uh-huh.
talking to his friend, and then he's like, "Don't you find it's always better with the second time?" Dude, I clipped it. I put it on TikTok, and it's still there.
I have to check that out. That's so
Yeah,
funny. Oh
it's
my
awesome.
gosh.
We still laugh about it. I
Yeah,
even
I'm
made
sure you do.
I made sound effects for the stream with it, and the whole 9 yards.
Was he embarrassed or was he like, oh,
No, he never heard me, so he has no
oh, so
idea.
he still
He
doesn't
has no
know?
idea.
Oh my god.
I know,
I
right?
thought he was like a friend that you like
No.
told down the road. Oh, that's so funny.
I'm like, holy cow. And we put it everywhere. It's still on TikTok. It's
Oh my
literally
god.
like my most video
Oh my
is of that
gosh.
guy.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out after this. That's so
So,
funny.
I don't want to keep you too late, but
Okay.
what is the one thing you would say that you wish other people that are disabled would change about our community? And I hate saying that too. I don't want to feel like it's our people, but
That's a monolith, yeah. Well, so you're saying what would I tell disabled people to
yes,
improve the community?
yes.
Um, so we were kind of talking about this at the beginning. I think it's hard to be a disabled person. Well, we didn't talk directly about this, but to be a disabled person in a family where no one else is disabled, or to not have that familial understanding, because I was the only disabled person in my family. My mom knew what it was like to be my mom, but she doesn't know what it's like to be disabled the way I do. You know what I mean?
Right, yes.
I think for those people, I would want to say trust your instincts and your experiences. Because I think it's really easy to like invalidate yourself when in that situation to be like, oh, like I remember I was told it was a therapist one time told me about a book that was about disability. I don't even remember what it was, and it sounded really good, really like profound. And I was telling my mom about it, and she was like, "Yeah, I read that. It sucked." And I was like, "What did you mean?" And she was like, "Yeah, it like did not resonate with me at all." And I was like, "Oh, well, it did with me." And she was like, "Oh, that's weird." And like we are usually on the same page with that, but we just totally didn't
Yeah,
vibe
see,
together.
my grandma, now that she's older,
Mhm.
her body's aches more,
Mhm.
so she likes to compare
Oh
her
yeah.
pain to
Mhm.
my pain, and I was just like, it's not the
No.
same. You
Yeah.
just don't. It's not the same.
Yep.
You just don't
Yeah.
understand.
I think knowing how to deal with that with grace is a really difficult skill to master, but it is important to figure out how to deal with moments like that. But I think, you're I don't know. I feel like I got gaslit a lot growing up. Not by my parents so much, but just like by society of like, you didn't have a problem with that, do you? And it was
Right.
like, well, no, but it was like, yeah, I did. Like, just silly stuff like, not being able to do gymnastics with my friends, and you know, not it's just so hard to like have people speaking over you sometimes. And so I think I would want that to be easier for people. I wish that was easier for people to not feel so invalidated by society in their experiences. Um, I also agree with the my pain is so bad I'm basically disabled thing. But that's more of a message for non-disabled people. I wish I could send. Um, I don't know. Do you have something you would want to tell disabled people?
I don't tell them to grow up because I hate saying that because I sound like such an asshole, but it's so true. But here's a story.
Okay.
We had a viewer.
Mhm.
I'm not going to say his name,
Okay.
but I know who he is.
Okay.
'Cause I can always tell the story so much. He was coming on my chat, and he had muscular dystrophy.
Mhm.
Okay, and I understand. I truly understand that you feel a sense of closure because I'm in a wheelchair and
Mhm.
you're in a wheelchair.
Mhm.
I get that. But he came in my chat and he was like, Hykiri, are we friends? And I'm like, no. And I don't mean that in an ugly way. But I get, hundreds of people a week. And he's like, dude, when we chat every day on your stream. I'm like, I know, and I appreciate that, but we're not friends.
Mhm.
I don't know you on that level. And that's not a bad thing.
Mhm.
It's not maybe one day we could be friends. Right now, I consider us to be acquaintances, and then
Mhm.
maybe that'll become a friendship. And that I'm really upset because I said we weren't friends. And I'm not talking about a little kid here, 17 years
Mhm.
old, broke down crying because I said we were not friends.
Oh God.
So that conversation chilled up. Okay. A little hour later, he comes back, and I was talking to somebody else about PayPal. And I was like, he had won money because for every wrestling stream
Mhm.
where there's a pay per view, we give out money for who gets the most matches correct.
Mhm.
WWE gives a little bit of money to give, to the viewers. So we do that month again. He happened to win it.
Mhm.
So I asked him for his PayPal or Cash App or,
Yeah. Whatever.
whatever. And he's like, I don't have any of that. I'm like, you're 17 years old and you don't have none of that? I'm like, how do you manage your money?
Yeah.
And you're 17. And he's like, my mom said I'm not allowed to do that yet. I'm like, what?
Mhm.
Like, dude, my grandma had me managing my bank account when I was like 10 years old. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm all noisy. I'm in
Mhm.
everybody's business. And I'm like, what about like You care. Do you know how to care for yourself? If like something happened to your parent or whatever, are you able to tell, somebody how to handle
Mhm.
you or whatnot? You got upset.
Mm.
I'm like, why are you upset? He's like, you said my parents might die. I'm like, well, yeah, everybody dies. I'm
Yeah.
not being ugly. That's life, bro. And he got upset. He started crying. And the next day, his mom messages me saying
Mhm.
how rude I am.
I saw that coming.
And yeah, wanted us to like apologize to you.
Oh.
I'm like, lady, that ain't happening. That you just need to
See,
like,
well, see, don't you see though that that's a problem with his parents
I,
too?
yes, yes. It's from
See,
the
that's why
parents
I don't.
too.
I don't want to lecture disabled people about that
Wait,
because
say it
I feel
again.
bad. I'm saying like I wouldn't. I would feel bad. No, I wouldn't feel bad getting mad at him about it because if he's close to an adult, he needs to hear it. But I see that as a parenting problem because we're
Yeah, you
so
gotta help him
yeah we're so
detach.
sheltered from life. But yeah, I do agree. I think it's hard when talking to some other disabled people who have internalized the I can't do anything. I need my mom and dad to do things. You know what I mean?
Yes,
That's I have a friend who's going through something like that where I'm trying to convince her to take her debit card back from her parents because they have her debit card and they don't have a conservatorship or anything, but they just won't let her
had that
spend money. But
had that argument with my
yeah,
grandparents many years ago.
one, it's just not. It's illegal. It's not the right way to raise your
Yeah,
kid.
it's not.
Doesn't make any sense.
No,
But,
but I mean, don't get it twisted. Like when my grandma
mm-hmm,
had her stroke,
mm-hmm,
I was visually that my nerves were a mess
mm-hmm.
because my grandma's here,
Well, yeah,
every day and
yeah,
helps get me up, and I didn't know what to do. And they'll have to, calm me down, make me get it together,
mm-hmm,
because me and Zale, get off of here. I call her at night and we stay on the phone until we
mm-hmm,
fall asleep in case I need something. And my
mm-hmm,
grandmother will hear me. She calls the phone
mm-hmm.
to get somebody, since we
Yeah,
have no staff. And, don't get me wrong,
that's a really good system.
it is, and thank you, Zale, for doing that. But, when my grandma was out,
Mm-hmm,
my nerves were shot and
mm-hmm,
I didn't know how to function. And Zale got me, made me get myself, together so I could tell people how to do whatever, But I knew how, before that. It's just my
mm-hmm.
nerves so, beat
Well,
up.
I think everybody needs
But,
support sometimes.
well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, the point was, I knew how,
Mm-hmm.
and this kid had no
Didn't.
idea.
Yeah.
And that's scary because
Mm-hmm.
we've come across so many kids over the last 8 years that
Yeah.
have no idea
Mm-hmm.
how to function, whether
Yeah.
it's money or their care
Mm-hmm.
or, their brother could not function without his mom.
Yeah.
It's scary. I just wish they were, I don't know if I want to say stronger, but more, care for themselves. That is
Mhm.
going to happen. One day that's life.
Yeah. I think it's hard. I'm not making excuses because you and I were on the same page with that guy that he needed to grow up for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's hard to be disabled and then be told your entire life that you can't do anything, that you need help with everything, that you can never be independent, that this is what you need, that is what you need, by parents who hover, but then to also at a certain age have to be like, no, this is what I want. But if you can get that is what I think that is what I would say. If you can get on the other side of that maturity, that is still rewarding because
Yeah, I
now
agree.
that now that I can control my own money as an adult and do things as an adult by myself and I know how to do things even if I can't physically do them, you know, I feel so much more empowered. And not to bring it back and make it about me, but that was part of why I went to law school because I felt like I needed to understand stuff like that to know how to live as a disabled person. I
Yeah,
needed to be able to find loopholes and figure out what the rules are for me and everything by myself, not through my parents or other people. And I
yep.
think that is a really good thing once you are able to
Because you
be
have
on
to.
that side. Yeah, because you have to.
Eventually, we have to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think,
And
they need to detach,
mm-hmm.
to step up.
Well, especially because parents don't always know. You
Yes,
know, even if your parent is disabled, also, even if they have your same needs, they don't know what's inside your head, and they don't. You shouldn't let anybody choose every aspect of your life. Yeah,
have that safe for
independence.
yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
know?
At least some type of like emotional and mental independence, even though you can't really be physically independent fully.
Yes,
But
I
yeah.
agree.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say to anybody that's looking to get a career of their own that are disabled?
Um. um. I think it depends. First of all, do what you love. So if that means you love playing Twitch, play Twitch all day and be a partner or whatever. Um, and if you like writing, then do that. I think you shouldn't have to sacrifice. First of all, I'm not a fan of capitalism, so in my opinion, my first message to anybody who wants a career is you shouldn't have to sacrifice your soul to do what you want and to get money. Um, but when you're disabled, I think there are extra complications with not only can you have an income, but realistically, can you get hired and will you get hired? So, um, be independent as you can, as much as you can. Make friends with people. It's hard to have to prove your competence in any field over and over again, but I think as disabled people, we have to do that. We have to prove that we're mentally with it all the time and prove that we're good at things or capable of doing things over and over and over and over and over again. And so get used to that, I would say. Um, the exhausting parts of life. Um, I'll say this. The exhausting parts of life related to your disability don't get less exhausting over time, but you have more life to pick you up afterwards. You know, you don't really ever get past it, but you move through it, and you learn how to put your disability in a place in your life that fits for you, if that makes sense. That doesn't have to overshadow you as a person, but that you also don't have to put in a box and put away. That's what
That's a
I'd
good
say.
message.
Yeah.
I like that message. So what is the future for the girl who sits?
Well, in I just said it in something that's going to be published, so it's out there in the ether that I will be doing a blog post. Um, the first one in like 2.5 years, or a year and a half. Um, it will be in October, and it's going to be on body horror and chronic pain, and how body horror can help you process disability and chronic pain. So that's what that's going to be, and then I don't know, post on social media rarely, if I'm being honest. And then most of my time is just spent on my law firm nowadays, trying to get more clients. So if you live in Missouri and you want disability help, come to me.
Definitely.
Um, and yeah, that's about it.
Well, thank you
I'm
for the
just
interview.
oh well,
Oh yeah.
technically I'm gonna be streaming on Thursday and Saturday and Sunday of this week.
Oh,
So
definitely be there.
that's a literal answer to your question of what's next.
The
Um, but yeah. So,
game you're playing right now, I believe,
mm-hmm.
really caught my interest.
Oh
It
yeah,
looks
I'm
pretty
on
fun.
observation duty. They're very, very fun. I played 1, 2, 4, and 5. The third one is 3D, so you have to use the keyboard, which I'm not that good at. So the rest of them are just point and click. Um, but they're very fun. The sixth one just came out, so that is what I'm going to be streaming on Thursday. And then
Nice.
after that, I'll probably go back to The Sims because my sim accidentally had twins. So now I have twin toddlers to take care of. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Well, thank you
thank you.
again.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. You should do this again in the future.
Yes, I would love to. I would love to. I would love to do a co-op stream with you if we can figure that out.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. I'm really bad with technology, but
We'll have to figure. We can do it.
yeah,
We can totally
we
get
will.
it done.
Okay, cool.
We got this.
All
But
right.
thank you again. Guys, be sure to
Yeah.
follow Miss
What?
Gabby over here.
I'm
Show her
sorry. What
some
did you
love.
say?
She's almost an affiliate, right?
What?
You're almost affiliate, right?
So close.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
am
Cool.
up to 2.4 average viewers. I need 3. So
I'll see right there.
yeah,
We got this. We got
I'm
this.
very close. Yeah. So it'd
Definitely.
be nice. If not, it's okay. But
We
I
got
would love.
this.
I love having more people in my chat too. It's fun to talk to people.
Yeah,
So
very active
yeah,
the
I've
last few
been very
days.
happy about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much for all your support too. I know a lot of my followers came from you, and I know a lot of them are watching. So hi everybody.
Hi,
But
peoples.
yeah.
I'm going to
So
upload this to YouTube,
cool.
and I'll send you a copy.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks. Okay,
All right, thank
everybody,
you.
have a good night.
Yeah, you
I'm
as
gonna hang
well.
up. Okay,
I'll hang up. I'll
bye.
hang up.
Bye.
Oh, you hang up. I hang up.
Okay,
No,
wait, you hang up or I hang up?
I'll hang up. Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.